Pope Francis wants to hear from you. The Holy Father has invited the Universal Catholic Church, including our diocese here in Springfield, to gather and reflect on communion, participation, and mission within the Church and society as a whole. Join our neighbors and parishioners here in Western Massachusetts in this consultation and dialogue process. Sessions will be held throughout Western Massachusetts during March and April, but volunteers are needed to help organize and facilitate. You can learn more by logging into diospringfield.org/synod. There you will find a calendar listing upcoming information sessions, trainings, and actual consultations. You can also contact the Diocese Synod team directly at synod, S-Y-N-O-D, at diospringfield.org or by calling 413-452-0571. Share your thoughts and participate in this global dialogue and consultation. The Pope needs you, and so do I, to hear what people have to say.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm Steve Kiltonic. As the Ukrainian war enters its third week, I'll speak with parishioners here at the Ukrainian Catholic Church in Ludlow about their relatives who are fighting for freedom and their lives against the invading Russians.
Food pantries in Western Massachusetts working to meet a growing need for emergency food support. And Dan Dumas brings us news from the Diocese of Springfield. This and more coming up for you next on Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. The brutal ongoing war in Ukraine has captured the headlines across the world. Here in Western Massachusetts, there are two small Ukrainian Catholic churches with parishioners who have relatives fighting on the front lines against Russia. Steve Kiltonic attended a recent Mass at St. Peter and Paul Ukrainian Catholic Church in Ludlow and has this report.
The Russian invasion of Ukraine on February 24th has rallied the world nations in a condemnation of the unprovoked war. Over 2 million Ukrainian refugees have fled to neighboring countries to escape the constant Russian bombings and rocket attacks on the civilian population. Thousands in the country's eastern and northern cities have been forced to go underground without food or water for days. In occupied Mariupol, the Russians have not allowed people to leave or the Red Cross to take the wounded away. Despite the humanitarian crisis, the faith of the Ukrainians has not been shaken, as the leader of the Ukrainian Catholic Church said Mass will be brought to the people.
Зійдуть у бомбосховища і там будуть звершувати божественні літургії. Церква є зі своїм народом.
Parishioners of St. Peter and Paul Ukrainian Catholic Church in Ludlow have experienced the war firsthand through family members and relatives who are living through the invasion in real time. Father Andrei Kriep calls it a genocide of the Ukrainian nation.
It's horrible, it's terrible, and it's unjust war because nothing was done by Ukraine to make this war happen.
Father Kriep fears for his parents and extended family members who plan on staying.
My parents and most of the relatives are in western part of country, but some relatives are in Kyiv, and in those parts where the heavy war is going on, where the bombs are falling every day, every night, every hour. We talk to them. It's difficult. Nobody knows what to expect, what's gonna tomorrow look like. It's scary. It's tough.
Ola Koval, who was born in Ukraine, travels from East Hampton to attend Mass here.
The first reaction was shock, and then, obviously heartbreak, hearing the stories and seeing the images. It's just a devastating war that a lot of people didn't want to think would happen.
Koval's grandmother, as well as many uncles, aunts, and cousins, live mainly in the western part near Lviv, or the capital Kyiv, while still others are in the southern part of the country.
They're in the front lines in the cities in the west, preparing to stand ground if Russia decides to invade, which seems like that is his plan, is to take over the whole country.
Sophie Zelensky was born in Ukraine.
I'm terrified for the people of Ukraine, and I'm terrified for the European nations, and I'm terrified for us. I think that Putin is not thinking rationally right now.
Zelensky's relatives are battling on the front lines.
My cousin's husband and her son are actively fighting. They are in the capital city of Kyiv. I'm in touch with them through Facebook. Volodymyr Zelensky, who's their president, has really rallied the Ukrainian people, and he's rallied the support of the world. This was what he was meant to do.
He was not afraid to die himself. He was not afraid to sacrifice his family, his wife and his 2 kids.
Father Creep and his parishioners are unanimous in their belief that their fellow Ukrainians will never surrender to the Russians, no matter what the cost or how many lives may be lost.
Fight to the last drop of your blood, and that's what they're going to do. Ukrainians are not cowards. They will stand to the end, only to win, and they will win, because there is that spirit inside of Ukrainian people. They are fighting for freedom.
It's just astonishing that so many are picking up arms, that are teachers, that are doctors, that are lawyers.
I think that they are willing to lose their lives over this for the glory of Ukraine. They've had a taste of freedom, for the past 30 years. They do not want to give that up.
Since the war began, there has been an outpouring of support from local communities. Approximately $7,000 has been raised thus far, and 70 boxes filled with donated medical supplies, children's clothes, and snacks are ready to be shipped out. Parishioners spent time after Mass in the church hall filling boxes with various items. In times of war, Ukrainians have prayed for the intercession of Mary, or Pokrova as she is known in Eastern Orthodox Catholic churches. When the city of Constantinople was surrounded by an invading army, the people prayed to Pokrova, and she miraculously protected the city.
We all pray around the world, and people in Ukraine, they do pray for the protection of God, for some change of mind of Russians.
May Pokrova protect all Ukrainians and be a source of solace, hope, and comfort for all who suffer. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonick.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Real to Real news briefs. A local Catholic and a local pastor traveled last week to Poland, which shares a border with war-torn Ukraine. Paul Kozub, founder of V1 Vodka, and Hadley pastor Father Peter Paulus, himself a native of Poland, traveled to discover firsthand what Americans can do to help. We have full coverage of this humanitarian crisis over at iobserve.org. Meanwhile, back here at home, it is always exciting this time of year as we celebrate new Catholics coming into the church. Last weekend, the rite of election was held at St. Michael's Cathedral, one of the last steps before the Easter Vigil Mass. It was a joyous afternoon at St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield last Sunday as soon-to-be Catholics gathered with their families for the rite of election and call to continuing conversion. 25 catechumens and 50 candidates are enrolled in the Rite of Christian Initiation of Adults, RCIA, and the Rite of Christian Initiation of Children, RCIC. They will complete the sacraments of initiation, which include baptism, First Communion, and confirmation, during the Easter Vigil at their home parishes Saturday, April 16th. The rite of election is for catechumens who were never baptized. During the ceremony, Bishop William Byrne asked them to stand along with their godparents, asking them if they wish to enter fully into the life of the Church through the sacraments of baptism, confirmation, and the Eucharist. The catechumens came forward to sign their name in the Book of the Elect. The catechumens are now called the members of the elect.
Today we celebrate the rite of election and the call to continuing conversion in the Catholic Church. And that's for the adults who are interested in becoming fully initiated into the Catholic Church. So the elect today will now proceed through the scrutinies in the RCIA process, and at the Easter Vigil they will be baptized, receive confirmation, and First Eucharist. Those that are participating in the call to continuing conversion are those that have missed the sacraments of confirmation and First Eucharist, and will also receive those at the Easter Vigil.
7-year-old Gabriel Mojica belongs to St. Elizabeth Parish in Ludlow.
Why is baptism important to you?
Being up one step closer to God and heaven.
Typically, tens of thousands of people across the United States enter the Catholic Church at the Easter Vigil.
This is one of the best days of the year. The joy that comes with everybody that comes to the rite of election, just one step closer to being part of our Catholic faith. And their joy is just wonderful to be around.
In other news, 3 Holyoke parishes have gathered together in a 9-day novena to St. Patrick at St. Jerome's Church, which began on March 9th. Each Mass is being celebrated by a priest who has served in Holyoke, along with Bishop Byrne. David Martin attended the first night of the novena and has more.
With COVID restrictions being lifted, Holyoke parishes have returned to seasonal traditions, such as novena masses for St. Patrick. Retired priest Father Richard Riondo celebrated the first of 9 novena masses at St. Jerome Parish. Parish Council member Mary Ellen O'Connor shared attendees will see many familiar celebrants and experience spiritual fulfillment.
I think they'll feel a oneness, that regardless of your ethnic background, that they're one in faith, and it happens to be at this time for St. Patrick, but we're all one family under God and honoring St. Patrick this year during our novena.
Sister of St. Joseph, Maureen Charay, gave a reading during the Mass. She offered that St. Patrick was a profound witness to the faith. Sister Charay said it is important for those present to pray to and honor St. Patrick during the novena and receive the blessing.
His whole depth of what he could do for the people, what his courage, what his dramatic conversions, and so we know that he can bring peace. He was a great unifier, don't forget. So as a holy man, as a man from another culture who welcomes other people, this is what Holyoke right now is all about, welcoming other people.
All weekday novena masses through March 17th take place at 12:15, including the March 15th Mass celebrated by Bishop William Byrne. On Sunday, March 13th, the novena Mass will be celebrated at 8 a.m. In Holyoke, I'm David Martin.
The 40 Days for Life is held each year during Lent, and part of its focus is people witnessing publicly in front of Planned Parenthood in Springfield, praying for an end to abortion. Bishop Byrne led a group in praying the Rosary last week. Carolee McGrath has more.
For an increase in the virtues of faith, hope, and love.
Bishop William Byrne led 30 people in prayer last Friday for the 40 Days for Life campaign outside of the Western Massachusetts Health Center of Springfield, which is operated by the Planned Parenthood League of Massachusetts. The group prayed the Rosary for unborn babies, their parents, and all involved in and touched by abortion.
You know, we're here to pray for peace. Peace in the womb, peace in our hearts, peace in the family, peace in our neighborhoods, and peace in our nation, but a peace in the world above all. Jesus is the Prince of Peace. And so we turn to him, especially for Ukraine, where such horrible injustice is occurring, and we stand with them in every way, because that's all. We are pro-life everywhere in the world, at every stage of life.
The spring campaign of the 40 Days for Life began Ash Wednesday and runs through April 10th. The Pro-Life campaign is an international ecumenical effort which relies on peaceful, prayerful witness in front of abortion clinics.
I think it's just really important to show the youth presence in the pro-life movement and show that there are many of us standing for life in this generation.
Danny Sears, a senior at Pope Francis Prep in Springfield, is the president of the school's Respect Life Club. He developed a pro-life curriculum to present in religion classes.
We're working on a presentation just explaining what an abortion really is, as well as addressing the harder topics such as rape or incest, or just difficult situations, whether it's financially or difficult situations at home, and really focusing on how we can support mothers rather than making them feel pressured into an abortion.
Reports state that close to 21,000 babies have been saved from abortion since the launch of the international campaign in 2007. Locally, organizers report that they know of at least 26 babies who have been saved. Jacqueline Luna Baggy and her husband Dave are expecting their first baby soon and came out to pray for other expectant moms.
Being here puts a face to the movement. It's not just words, it's actions as well. We can pray, right? We can pray at home, but for people to see those that really truly care about life out in public, I think it's important.
Volunteers are very much needed this spring. Last fall, 16 churches and the Knights on Bikes participated. For more information about the campaign, visit iobserve.org. In Springfield, I'm Carolee McGrath.
Finally, St. Mary's High School Principal Matthew Collins announced this week that the school has established the Sisters of St. Joseph Medal of Honor Award. This award recognizes the school's history with the Sisters of St. Joseph and the legacy the sisters created at St. Mary's. Collins, a 1992 graduate of the school, said the Sisters of St. Joseph were our first teachers and continued to teach our students for most of our 123-year history. He added that the sisters continue to support our school, our students, and Catholic education through the Roman Catholic Diocese of Springfield. And remember, you can always stay informed on all the latest news in the Catholic Church locally and beyond by logging on to iobserve.org. There you can find articles from our Catholic communication staff, as well as on-demand episodes of Real to Real. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and those were your Real to Real news briefs.
Thanks, Dan. And still to come on this edition of Real to Real, Steve Kiltonick has part 2 of a series examining how local food pantries are helping with rising food insecurity in Western Massachusetts. This week, visiting Lorraine's Soup Kitchen in Chicopee. It's all still ahead on Real to Real.
Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio,
just finished this today,
and stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
Hi, Mom. What are you doing today?
Providence Place, owned by the Sisters of Providence, an ideal rental setting for retirees to continue their active, independent lifestyles. We have bright 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, a magnificent chapel with daily mass, restaurant-style dining, and wellness and entertainment programs. Call for a tour, 413-534-9700.
Mom, call me when you're not so busy.
All our lives, we've been told, work hard,
achieve, get to the next level.
But sometimes, our best efforts fall short. We start to think maybe we don't have what it takes.
Or maybe we do.
Jesus took on the sins of the whole world. He conquered even death itself.
He invites us to follow him. He wants us to trust him.
And through him, through his body and blood, we are united in Jesus. And to each other.
Everything we're searching for.
Hail Mary, full of grace.
Our hopes and our dreams.
Points to a Father.
Who loves us unconditionally.
Who called us by name.
If you knew that receiving the Eucharist would change your life, and change the world.
What will you do?
What would you do?
What would you do? Join us for the Year of the Eucharist.
What started as a crowd-funded series has taken the Christian world by storm. And now, during this Lenten season, you can watch the story of Jesus right from your living room on Catholic television. The Chosen is a beautiful series, one filled with love, peace, and the real power of God. If you love reading the Bible or watching movies about our Lord, then this show is for you. In the first season, the story is mainly told by the apostles who lived and worked with Christ, and leading up to the beginning of Christ's public ministry. It shows our Lord as a man of understanding and compassion, as well as being very approachable, talking with small children, and in one very moving scene, helping a small poor girl build a dollhouse. The production is so well done, we feel that we are right there, part of the action. As the first season unfolds, we are able to see how Jesus appears in his disciples' lives, and how the little moments that show them that Jesus is the Son of God, and is calling each one of them to follow him in his ministry. The acting is really top-notch, really one giving heart and soul to make the role work. You can watch new episodes each Wednesday night at 9 p.m. on Catholic TV, with encore presentations Thursday at 5 a.m., Saturday at 10 p.m., and Mondays at 1 p.m. We have all the details at iobserve.org.
I was one way, and now I am completely different. And the thing that happened in between was him.
And the next time we meet, we'll be talking Oscars. Who will walk home with that little golden guy? Will it be West Side Story, The Power of the Dog, or the super underdog this time, a little film called Coda? I'm Mark Giza for Real Culture. Have a fabulous weekend.
We turn now to the second of a four-part series on food pantries, who also receive annual Catholic Appeal funding. Lorraine's Soup Kitchen and Pantry in Chicopee has been providing food for those in need for more than 3 decades now. Late last year, it offered Chicopee residents a new twist on its food distribution method by taking their services on the road. Steve Kiltonic has the story.
To be a resource of food security to the greater Chicopee community by providing access with respect and dignity is the mission of Lorraine's Soup Kitchen and Pantry. For 32 years, through its donors and supporters, Lorraine's has led the fight against food insecurity, which reached unprecedented levels during the past 2 years of the pandemic. Its beginnings go back to 1989 when the Chicopee Soup Kitchen opened. In 2001, it was renamed Lorraine's Soup Kitchen and Pantry in honor of Lorraine Houle, the first and only director of the organization, who served until 2018. Ruben Reyes is the executive director of Lorraine's.
She always made sure to give me a call and just thank me for the work that I'm continuing. And, you know, I would tell her I could never fill her shoes, and that would always give her a laugh.
In 2009, Lorraine's relocated its state-of-the-art facility to Pendexter Avenue. After shutting down during the pandemic, Lorraine's reopened their soup kitchen, which offers free, hot, sit-down meals 5 days a week from 5 to 7 p.m. Lorraine's carry-out meals, started during COVID-19, continues today. Families can receive free groceries at the pantry during the day. A simple non-intake form is all that needs to be filled out to receive food.
For pantry, we could see upwards up to 80 families per day, and then for dinner, we might see up to 50 or 60 families.
The steady increase in pandemic numbers has generated a new group of clients.
We have been seeing our steady increase grow again, and it's not just homeless or low-income families. We're seeing families who make over quite a bit of money in their household who have to utilize a food pantry for the very first time in their life. And we attribute it to people losing their jobs, losing their hours, and also families are now taking in more of their family members.
Murdis Nicholson of Springfield has volunteered at Lorraine's for the past 2 years, cooking and waiting on customers. She's one of the many dedicated volunteers who remain committed to Lorraine's mission.
I love working here.
Why?
I love the atmosphere here. We act like a family when we work here. People are nice, and so we have no problems or anything. So I like working in that type of environment. Giving back to me means help in any way I can to make it more easier for the people to live better and to get food.
Last November, as a result of a $45,000 one-year grant from Theory Wellness, Lorraine's launched a new mobile food pantry.
We found that we really struggled getting to the areas of people who don't live near us, who don't live near a grocery store. So our main goal was to try to provide a service to go out into these areas that are considered food deserts.
Volunteers come during the day to prepackage the food in plastic bags, which are then put in bins for distribution. Axel is one of the volunteers who starts loading the truck around 3. The food includes a healthy balance of all the food groups: vegetables, fruits, protein, pasta, peanut butter. The mobile truck operates Monday through Friday, 4 days a week, at 16 separate sites around Chicopee that are considered food deserts.
We mapped out locations that were at least 2 miles away from a local grocery store, and we wanted to select those areas as our main focal point.
The sites include large housing projects on Broadway and Meeting House Road, elderly housing like Fairhaven and Elderberry, along with the St. Stanislaus School parking lot. On this January afternoon, the truck pulls into the Memorial Avenue apartment complex. Any Chicopee resident can receive food by filling out an initial form with proof of residency. Because the program is still fairly new, Lorraine's hopes news about the mobile pantry will spread by word of mouth. Depending upon the regular attendance and feedback from each site, adjustments may be made for future locations.
Right now, since it's, again, still building, we're seeing between 20 to 30 families per night. Some of these families are larger. I mean, these are families of 9, 8, and although you might hear the number 20, we're really serving a whole household of individuals who are in need of services. So we designated several of our sites to go to senior housing to make sure that that demographic is not forgotten in this expedition.
Reyes said a goal is to get families to try foods they're not necessarily accustomed to.
One of our main objectives was to try to bring more nutrition into the community, so we wanted to emphasize on introducing new types of produce, new types of veggies, and also from time to time we'll include little recipes so people know what to do with a rhubarb.
Thus far, reaction from the public to the mobile pantry has been very positive.
They're very grateful. People are very happy, and they're appreciative that not only are they getting the canned and the boxed goods, but they're also getting fresh produce, and they're getting fresh dairy and things that you typically can't get at a corner store.
Reyes hopes Lorraine's can help dispel any stereotypes about those who receive food assistance.
Lorraine's is here to help. I hope nobody has a stigma against coming to a soup kitchen and people feel comfortable in these locations. We welcome everyone with open arms, and this is a place where we want people to feel dignified and respected when they're getting their free services.
From Chicopee, we travel to the Berkshires next week as our series continues with a profile of the Lee Food Pantry, which services residents in the hill towns. For Reel to Reel, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
All right.
To find more information on the various sites in Chicopee where the mobile truck is scheduled to visit for the month of March, head to iobserve.org for a link, where you can also find a link to make your Lenten offering to the 2022 Annual Catholic Appeal. More than 40 life-affirming ministries and services benefit from the generosity to the appeal. We here at Catholic Communications are among the recipients, and we appreciate your support. For this week, that's Reel to Reel. Thank you so much for watching. Head over to iobserve.org, where you can also follow the latest news we have for you on the Catholic Church in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world. We have it all for you at iobserve.org and on Facebook at Catholic Communications. I'll see you right back here next week at this same time for Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. See you then.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the Annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.